Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Let's get started on the broadcast. Let me go post a link on our website. Website is denverguitarorchestra.com. Live stream close. Live stream offline, it says. Why is that? Hello, hello, hello. Got the camera. Should not be offline. Why am I offline? Oh, there I am. Okay. All right. Jeez. Little technical glitch there. Let me post our link on the website, denverguitarorchestra.com. And paste, shift, link, enter, edit. Settings, open link in your window, update and update. Okay, so we got the website up and running. Click, and it actually goes to number 278, which is today. And let me go, while everybody's getting loaded in, let's go post over on Twitter. And let's make sure everything is hunky-dory on Twitter today. I have too many guitars sitting around in this immediate area. https://denverguitarorchestra.com, and that pops up, and then I just put the same exact thing cover on it every single broadcast because I haven't taken time to do anything sillier. Tweet. Right, and there's that. And all right. I'll follow her back. Follow her. Let's see. Lists. All right, so there's Twitter, and there's the website. I think we are all set. I close this. Vic was the first one in. Sound is good. Sunny up in Eugene today. We have complete cloud overcast. It's supposed to only be about 40 degrees today, so I'm not going. I actually have to go to the dentist this afternoon, so sadly I got to go out in it. Evelyn is here. Sound is good. It's cloudy and 65 in Cuenca, so she's got clouds just a whole lot nicer down there. Pauline, good morning, everyone. Bright and sunny in the Bay. So, Pauline, you're winning. All right. All right. Let's see. Huge, massive delay on the web thing. I don't know why. So I will play, and you guys will pipe in and bring any thoughts to me as we go along. And let's see. Trying to remember if I had a question. Oh, I wanted to mention briefly. Tomorrow is Thursday. What is today? Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow, we're going to play House of the Rising Sun. It's a brand new arrangement for Denver DGO. We've been playing it in harmonica class for a while. But take time this after class today to download House of the Rising Sun and give it a try a few times. Played through it just a couple times. I think it's right. So we'll play that tomorrow. It's a new arrangement. We haven't done that one before. So make sure to get that downloaded in your book this afternoon. I had those of you guys may have been noticing how slow the website was running while I called up, and we're maxing it out, so I had to upgrade the entire website to business class. So we are officially in business with everything we're doing these days, and aren't we fancy? So business class means that I should not have any further challenges with with the internet running slow, or you guys having a hard time getting logged in, or any of that. So that's hopefully going to solve all of the challenge. Like, yeah, you guys know a lot of times you try to log in and it's just sort of you wait and stare at the screen for a while. And it had gotten really bad over the weekend, and I thought, I'm going to call them and find out what the heck is going on. And boy, sure enough, we're maxed out on resources. So I don't know why I don't see House of the Rising Sun on my list here. I'm in the Guitar Center, House of the Rising Sun. It pops up on your screen, doesn't it? It is. So what is the link? Song, House of the Rising Sun. Why isn't it here? That's so weird. Hotel California. Oh goodness, things are so. Everything's got to be complicated. Oh, I know why. All right, I'll have to change some stuff on here. Okay, guys, let's grab the Segovia scales and let's get going on that. Yeah, I had to change the IP address, whatever that is, and now it looks like the same website I used to go to, but it's a copy of the old website, and so eventually I'm sure the old website just vanishes. So but we're apparently on new servers, super fast. Very excited about that. Let's go grab Segovia to get us warmed up this morning. Okay, again, just measure 2. Working on getting that pattern memorized first, and then we can work on coming back down. The pattern will be different. So from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me start from the top. I apologize. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, one more time from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. That's it. That's what we meant. Getting pretty comfortable with the pattern. I'm still obviously messing it up a little bit, but once we get that pattern down, I think we'll do that measure again next week, and then we will start the process of going back down. So those of you guys that have the pattern and you're like, yep, no problem, you can start working on the downward spiral. I'm not going to start on that until I get really confident going up. And of course, on your own, you should be playing the measure 1, keeping that pattern fresh in your head. So we'll have that. Elizabeth is in, 36 degrees up in northern Colorado. Yeah. Tax deduction. Yeah, the challenge with running this type of business is there's a lot of deductions and not that much income. So yeah, so I've always been sort of slow about adding on technology just because, gosh, it's so darn expensive. But of course, you reach a point where you're like, oh, things are going well. I guess I am going. Things are getting so good that things are no longer working anymore. So you upgrade them. I noticed on the server's website, it says all these different plans you can have, and I remember vividly starting on plan 0, like the bottom level, and then over the last bunch of years, I've been slowly moving on over, and now I'm all in the business class. So the next level is buying my own server. So let's see if we can avoid getting that fancy. All right, so today our playlist includes Three Blind Mice, Clementine, Home on the Range, and our classical song of the week. So let's go grab Three Blind Mice out of book 1 and see how we're coming with that. Tink, tink. Ta-da. Okay, I like to play through the chords one time, and then the melody one time, and then the tough acts one time if we do it well. 1, 2, ready, play. 3 blind mice, 3 blind mice. See how they run, see how they run. They all went after the farmer's wife. She cut off their tails with a carving knife. Have you ever seen such a sight in your life as 3 blind mice? 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's go to the melody. 1, 2, 3, 4. Finally, let's grab that tough axe. Remember, you want to use your alternate G fingering here, and this is not really for book 1 people, right? This is super crazy hard. So give yourself if you're in book 1, give yourself a break on trying to play this tough axe. It's really hard. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think those of you guys who have been around a while, you'll agree with me. That's pretty hard. The whole time you're just, don't let up these 2 fingers at all, and then, boy, getting your index finger and your pinky finger to be bouncing back and forth. That's quite a challenge. All right, 3 blind mice. Let's go grab Clementine out of book 2. And the fun part about Clementine, I did go ahead and give you all 7 or 8 verses, however many times there are. Clementine has a bad narrator. We assume it's a male, could be a female, I suppose, is in love with the farmer, or the miner's daughter, and she's poor, so she uses boxes for her shoes, and she's going down to the river to get the ducklings some morning. They get to water the ducklings in the morning. We assume she's raising the ducklings to eat them later on, and she's taking them down to the water in the morning. She slips and falls because she's wearing boxes for shoes, falls in the water, drowns. Our narrator watches her drown because he doesn't know how to swim, and then he watches her blowing bubbles as she dies. Then she ends up in the churchyard under the myrtle boughs, and he writes that she's fertilizing those myrtles. And then he has dreams about her, unfortunately, rising up out of the brine covered in lake water. Very scary, he's haunted by poor Clementine. But then he meets her sister. Oh, in the meantime, by the way, her dad also kills himself because of the sadness over missing Clementine. And then at the end, our narrator goes and meets the miner's other daughter, Clementine's sister, kisses her. Everything's back to normal. Right? So, great guy. So that's the story. Chords here, A chord from level 1, going to E7, back to A chord. Okay, that's it. Going to come up every day in your guitar life probably, so good ones to commit to memory and get where you're comfortable getting from one to the other and back. What I find is just dropping your index finger allows you to get your E7 on. I usually, not always, but a lot of times I'll put my full E on and then just raise my ring finger up. It feels so comfortable making an E chord that you can then pull this up and you get your E7 out of it. So A chord to E7 and back. Okay, from the top, 1, 2. In a cavern, in a canyon, excavating for a mine, dwelt a miner, 49er, and his daughter Clementine. Oh my darling, oh my darling, oh my darling Clementine, you are lost and gone forever, dreadful sorry Clementine. So that's just very straightforward. That was a simple strum just with my thumb, which is probably what I use 80% of the time. Let's talk about jazzing it up a little bit. Let's do arpeggio patterns. Since you've got an A chord, start on your A string, and you're in a 3 pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. When you get to the E chord, have your thumb hit the E string, right? And then go back to A. In a cavern, in a canyon, excavating for a mine, dwelt a miner, 49er, and his daughter Clementine. Oh my darling, oh my darling, so there's that. That's an arpeggio pluck. And then let's do one last idea, which is to do boom, chuck, chuck, boom, chuck, chuck. And that sounds like a miner's daughter, right? So again, thumb on the A string, and then thumb on the E string. And then I probably will just leave my 3 fingers. You can either take the high strings or the middle strings. Theoretically, you could also then drag them down to the low strings for your E. Get to decide which sounds the best to you. That sounds a little dark to me, so I'm probably going to keep them in the middle strings or even the high strings. So we'll leave them in the middle. All right, this is in 3/4, so we don't want to talk about that. So we're going to do thumb, pluck, pluck. Grab your A chord, thumb, pluck, pluck, thumb, pluck, pluck, thumb, pluck. In a cavern, in a canyon, excavating for a mine. Let me get my E chord on. Let me start from the beginning. I know how to make an E7. I really do. 1, 2. In a cavern, in a canyon, excavating for a mine. Dwelt a miner, dwelt a miner, 49. Darling Clementine, you are lost and gone forever, dreadful sorry Clementine. Okay, and that actually gets kind of interesting, right? Where you're thinking, you know what, I've got a lot of work to do. I got to keep this certain pattern going on my right hand. I got to make sure my chords are on clean, and then I have to sing, right? So there's a whole lot of stuff going on there, and all worthwhile stuff to learn how to do. So a lot of work on chords there. I think these 2 chord songs, you can obviously always just strum them, but if you can come up with a right hand pattern that's a little more sophisticated, it makes the song sound more sophisticated, and all of a sudden you're not playing Clementine, but you're playing guitar on a song, and you don't really care what the song is. All right, let's play the melody. I see lots of 2s, lots of 3s, a couple of 1s in there. So the entire thing looks like it's played in first position. And sometimes it's easiest to grab the chord, and in this case, certainly through the beginning part of it, I'm going to grab the chord because it's all 2s for the first 2 measures, and that way I got a little bit less chance of messing up. From the top, 1, 2. That little 2-1-0, you're probably smart enough just to grab a full E chord there. The melody, the chord is an E7, but the melody requires that too, so you could just grab an E chord there. That way you're holding down all 3 of those and just run your thumb down it. Right? All right. Now this is a super fun one for chord melody. So let's give it a try. A chords. Okay, pluck the 2 2s on string 3, little drag down on the strings 5, 4, and 3, hit the 2 again. Now you're still holding that chord, so the next 3 strings, full A chord at measure 3. Here's where you got to start modifying. Open, ring, 2, E7. Rest stroke on there, and then I've added in a decorative note there in the middle of measure 4, mostly just because you can. Then go grab the 0-2. Here you don't have a choice. E7 shape, pinky on 3. In order to get that whole thing put together, you need to have your pinky on 3 and your E7 shape on. And do I have mine on? I do. Strum. Hit the 3 again. Change it out for your ring finger. Open. Grab an A chord, rest stroke on string 1, E7, 5 strings, and then just put your ring finger down. So you're actually holding an E chord right there at the end when you switch to the A chord on page 2. Finger to get that 2 there, and then your pinky needs to be on it, the 3. A chord. E7. Put your ring finger down. And then we go back and play it again. Let's do that. We'll play it one time with the thumb and then one time with the claw and see how you do on that. 1, 2. 2. Bar on 5, pinky on, bar on 2, pinky on 5. And it's hard to do vibrato on a chord, right? So if you are just playing straight melody and doing a duet, that's that little wiggle above in the melody line right above number 5. Right? There's that, and that's what you want to do with. That's what that little wiggly thing is there. All right, that's a fun song. I love poor Clementine. she's really got a raw deal there. All right, how are we doing on time? 10:30. Good. All right, let's go grab Home on the Range. All right. So when we go from book 1 to book 2. Book 2 is where all the meat of everything we do is. That's the important book. The book 3 is we just play where we're going to get good, right? And the songs make a little bit more sense in book 3 because they're public domain. They've been around a while. They're good songs. And book 3 is meant to just get you comfortable playing songs that make sense, and then from there you can go on to book 4, where the songs stop making sense in a lot of ways, become much more difficult, and but by then you have the skills to deal with it. All right. Let's see. Got all sorts of crazy suggestions here. Oh, we have a tough page break here because you got to go into your B minor after the page break. That's what that note means. Okay, and I'm telling myself to play a regular A7. Okay, that makes sense. That's exactly what it says. Why do I have that note on there? And then eventually, I think next time I post this, we'll put a repeat in there just so we can play it twice. So let's just play it twice. Go down to measure 32 and come back up to the top. Remember your pickup note at the top, going back to measure 1 is at 2. Okay, let's give it a try 2 times through, any way you want to play it from the top. 1, 2. So probably that sounds pretty good. So put that 10, 10, 11, 12 on the very end. We'll add that into the arrangement when we publish this next. Sounds pretty cool. We'll put a repeat at measure 32. We'll put a repeat going here. Repeat, 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 repeat. I don't know what that note means, so I'll get rid of that note. And there we go. We've got a good arrangement there. That sounds nice, right? And you don't have to play it fast. Hopefully, what's fascinating to me about that, I find Three Blind Mice way harder to play than that one. So there we go, right? It's always something. Really pretty. Now, let's go grab the classical music, classical song for the week. Some of you guys already did some work on this, and what I'm going to do is, on a weekly basis, give you one song from the classical repertoire that I'm working on, and then I'm going to start. I have already started the page, and I'm basically going to have an organized. You start here and walk your way down through this list, and so theoretically, that will get your classical playing together. Now, I know a few of you have said. Hey, you know what? I want to learn to read the standard notation and all that. So I am quite capable of giving you guys this stuff without the tablature if you want it. And as I've said many times before, tablature is a superior system for guitar than standard notation. But that doesn't necessarily mean you don't want to know how to read the standard notation. And so knowing a little bit about both of those is a good idea. You hanging around with me, you're going to learn tablature. That's no doubt about that at all. Particularly because I play more than one instrument, right? And so I need a much faster, easier way to know where my notes are. And memorizing them all for each instrument is just beyond my brain's capability. But I can read numbers, and so that's what the tablature does for us. So if you want these without tablature, there's no problem. I can get those to you. However, why would you want them without tablature? Think about it. You're thinking, well, I should be serious about this guitar thing. By hanging out here, you're already serious about this thing. And frankly, it doesn't really matter. Any song, as I've talked about all the time, the songs don't matter. It matters what you're going to do with them. And so I gave, on the second page of this over at the bottom, some lessons I'd like to talk about. I'd like to walk through those. Because at the end of the day, I want you to take this song and turn it into something else, is really what I want you to do. And I want you to be able to play what's on the paper, of course, and then I want you to go in and do something that makes it sound way better. So first thing I always do when I decide, all right, I'm going to work on a song, the first thing I want to do is make sure the chords are I'm going to be able to live with the chords. And these are chords you already know. You've got your A minor chord. Okay. And hopefully when you are... Hopefully you're knowing, do I know what A minor is? Like without looking at it on the paper, do I know what that is? That's one you should probably have memorized at this point. A chord as well, probably one you should have memorized. Okay. D minor. Okay, and then your other chord in here is an E chord. So that's A and E are from level book 1. A minor and D minor are out of book 2. Book 2 is where things are happening. And now the next question then becomes, do you know what order these go in? And I purposely put them alphabetical, but you have to look at, all right, your first chord in the song is A minor, your last chord in the song is A minor, there's a million A minors in the middle, probably an A minor. Those of you guys that have a little prior background know, you look up at where the key signature is, right next to the treble clef, it says 3/4, and that's the important piece of information for the song. 3/4, you're going to play every measure with 3 beats in it, and then after that there's no sharps or flats, so that means you're probably in key of C or in the key of A minor, and we'll talk about those again. It's beyond the scope of what I really want to work on here, but just note, if there's no sharps or flats there, you're either in C or you're in A minor. Unlikely you're in the key of C here, since there are no C's in the piece at all. And so we're going to be playing this piece in A minor, and same thing as I always talk about this 4-finger or 5-finger pattern: A minor, B, C, D minor, and E. So this one here, just like in major keys, will either be the major chord or the 7th chord, at least initially, right? Eventually it gets more complicated than that, but in the beginning, A minor, D minor, and E or E7, and those are your main chords. And sure enough, that's exactly what's in this song: A minors, E's, and D minors. The only chord that's different, go over to measure 26, there's an A chord in there. What the heck's it doing there? It creates some tension. It's not what we would expect to be there. Creates some tension that we then resolve by going into D minor, E, and finally back to A minor. You'll also notice at measure 26 that there's a C note there with a pound sign in front of it, the sharp sign. A lot of times when you see a chord that doesn't belong in the song, you'll also see notes that have sharps or flats on it, and that's where your accidentals show up. And so that moment in this song is going to be an important moment. You're going to be playing the song, it's going to be great, and then when you see that moment come where things where things are a little weird, that's going to be this moment you want to get right and be focused in on. So that's the first thing I like to look at with a piece of music, is what the chords are. Now you guys know on classical music they don't give you the chords, but as you get more and more comfortable with music, those chords are there. They just don't write them down for you. And so, and also a lot of times chords are negotiable. Like that, just because I think that's the chord there doesn't necessarily mean that's the chord you have to play there. And so, as we're looking at chords, just know I'm putting them on there because I'm going to use those to create a fingerstyle arrangement, and these are the chords I recommend. Next thing, let's go through and play the melody. Here's what's important. You have 2 voices here on classical music, the upper voice and the lower voice. On this one, your lower voice is all those zeros at the bottom of the tablature. That's your bass voice. And a lot of classical music runs in exactly that idea, that these 3 strings have the treble and they have the melody, and these 3 strings, which you will largely play with your thumb, are going to be a bass voice. What's kind of cool about guitar is that it's not quite like piano where you have chords here and chords here, the same notes and the same shapes. On guitar, we really have 2 completely separate voices, in the sense that we're going to play most of our melody on these strings and most of our bass on these strings, and they can be completely independent of one another. So first, let's go through, pick out the melody, ignore the bass for just a second, just so you get a sense of what's going on here. And when you do that, you got to count, okay? So from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, rest. Oh, 3, 1, 2. 3. Oh, 1, oh, 3, 2, 3, 1. 3, 1, oh, 2, 3, oh, 2, oh, 1, 2, 3, 1. Oh, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, oh, 1, 2, drops into your bass notes. And you could feel at 26, you felt, I don't know if you felt it, you're probably focused in on just playing the notes, but when you get to going in, from 24, you're hearing 2, 3, right? You hear that wang, and it's a different sounder in there, and you're like, oh my goodness, that's something's happening there, right? In measures 4 through 7, zero of the chord notes are in the melody except open strings. Is that usual? In classical, yes. So measures 4 through 7, and it's fascinating, right? You got a 3, that's not in the chord, right? 3, 1 is not in the chord, right? 0 is, well, that's in the chord in measure 6, right? But it's not unusual. 0 of the chord notes are in the melody except open strings. Yeah, so the open strings are there. What happens is, and you'll see this as we push over into fingerstyle just a little bit, is that those chords, that's why they don't show you the chords a lot, is it's information that's not necessarily helpful for playing exactly what's on the paper, but it's super helpful if you're thinking about how the song is put together. And as we go through and we put it into fingerstyle, you'll see how that works out. Let's go through and add in these bass notes now, and all you have to do, they're all open, so you just have to get your thumb on the right string. And I want to follow up a little bit further with what Nancy's saying is, hey, that's the chord, but none of the notes that I'm holding down are in the melody. And what's going on there is that they're using other notes out of the same scale. So this 3 here, that shows up a bunch in the melody there. It's part of a D minor chord. So it's in the key, it's just not necessarily showing up in that chord. And the chord is the chord is using is often run by the bass notes. And you can see like the A minors, and you see the A's are the bass notes, and then it drops to E, and all of a sudden those E bass notes show up. So it's a little bit hard to just talk about it straight up. Other than I agree with you. It's weird that that's the chord, but there's no chordal notes. Will we use IMs? Well, you probably ought to, right? And so it's up to you how far you want to take this. I'm going to probably focus in on just playing it because I don't really. The business of IMs and stuff, you should probably be working on that. I find that working on that in scales is about all my little brain can handle, and then after that I just want to play some music. So I'm probably going to use more thumb and more chordal arrangements around here, a whole lot more arpeggio shape than I probably am supposed to. The great classical guitarists obviously have full control over their IMs, and as you progress as a musician, you want to have those tools as well. So you probably should play it both ways. Play it with your thumb, then go through and play it with your IMs, and then play with your MRs and all that. So yeah, give yourself an opportunity to try different things. Great question, Elizabeth. All right, let's add in the bass notes now. And all you're going to do is you're going to you play exactly what you just played. And you see what I'm ending up doing? I'm magically already grabbing for the chord because I know most of my notes are going to be, not all of my notes, as Nancy points out, but a lot of my notes are going to be right under here. I may have to modify them a little bit, and I'm grabbing a chord. This is the challenge with academic music, is they definitely are going to tell you, hey, practice your IMs, but you don't really need to on this song. You can pretty much put your index, middle, ring, and just park them there, right? And it might be, the music might come out better. So from the top, 1, 2. slowed way down way too much because I missed the first note of 32. So that's what's going on there, right? You've got a lot of cool stuff going on here. You've added the bass notes in, and then now my suggestion is, as we go through this classical thing, get where you can play that good enough so that at the end of the week you put it on a video, right? Don't look at the video. Just record yourself on your phone and then don't look at it. Put that file somewhere in your computer and just let it sit there. 6 months from now, you'll look at that video. So on my lessons, I'm going to start adding, hey, record the song on a video. Don't look at the video. Don't look at it. Just put it on video. Record, play it the best you can, hit stop record, and then file that away on your computer somewhere and don't look at it for 6 months. And what you'll find is that you never are satisfied with anything you put on video, and 6 months from now you'll be able to play that much better, right? And then the last thing, I know we're out of time, but I do want to point out one thing. If you take this basic structure and you turn it into a finger style piece where we add in the chords, I want to just give you a little sense of what you can do with this. Not every chord, but a lot of times at the first beat of a measure, if the chord works, I'll just take my thumb and run it down. It makes the song feel so much bigger, and now all of a sudden you're becoming an arranger, and you sort of pick and choose where to drop in those chords and whether they make sense. If you put it on every single thing, it doesn't sound that great, but if you put it in with some thoughtfulness, grabbing your chords and tossing in our fingerstyle pattern where we just toss the chord in underneath the melody note. A lot of places, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm probably going to play the chord 16 or 17 times underneath that. And so that's something to work with. That's why I'm going to give you those chords, just so you can start thinking about, hey, this is how I'm supposed to play it, but wouldn't this sound better, right? And that's exactly what we do in fingerstyle, is we say, well, here's what the melody is, here's some chords, let's see how cool we can make this. And I think that'll get you to that next level of musicianship. All right, guys, that's it. I ran you over 5 minutes. I will see all of you either in harmonica or ukulele, and you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.